All right, we're ready to go.
All
Holly, take
right.
it away.
Hey, Jon, great to be with you. Thanks for making time to talk to me. I know you're in Arizona right now, and there's some big action happening around you. What is it like to be in the middle of the action as we are coming across the Super Bowl?
Yeah, there's a little football game in town, and we also have the world's largest golf tournament that happens simultaneously. To put that in perspective, the people that don't follow golf regularly usually follow the major events like the Masters, US Open, but most people know about the Waste Management Phoenix Open just because of the craziness of it. And when it falls on when we're hosting Super Bowl as well, it's double crazy, right? So to put the Phoenix Open in perspective, there will be more people on the grounds on Saturday, just the one day of the Phoenix Open, than nearly every other golf tournament in the world has the entire week of their championship, right? So that's how crazy it is. So almost every year when the weather's good, we break the world record for the most people on the grounds during the week, and it's just insane. You know, upwards of 300,000 people potentially on Saturday will be on the grounds at one time at the golf course. So it's a party, and there happens to be a professional golf event mixed into it. And oh, by the way, you bring all the craziness of Super Bowl and all the corporate piece of that with it. And it's different for sure. So if you ever have it on your bucket list to come to the Phoenix Open, I would almost recommend you not do it when we're hosting Super Bowl, just because it's just crazy rental cars and hotel rates, and it's just insane. But it's cool to be part of it, and at least to be on the periphery of it. You know, we are not this year involved in the organizing committee for either event, but we certainly attend the different festivities around the golf tournament, and then, you know, things around the fan fest and things like that for Super Bowl. But downtown's packed. All the hotels are sold out. The Airbnbs are going at a premium. Rental cars are sold out. I can't even imagine what the airfares in today's economy are. But it's cool to live in a place like this that has major events on an ongoing basis.
Jon, you mentioned that you'll be attending the parties, but you're not on the planning committees this time around. Speak for a minute about what you get to do on a daily basis, because it seems like the role that you have, the organization you're part of, you're right in the middle of all the fun and the intimate knowledge of what the industry really takes. That's something that not everyone gets to hear about.
Yeah, we won't attend a lot of parties with a 6-year-old on my hands, but that's for the younger people on the Huddle Up Group team these days. I'm the old gray-haired guy now. But yeah, just being able to work in sports for 27 years now. Actually, half of my living, breathing life has been working in sports is really cool. I've heard many people say this, to get paid for something you love to do is just a blessing in life that very few people get to do. You know, and when I've read oftentimes, it's like, do you have to do something or you get to do something? Well, we get to do something. We get to go to work in an industry that we really love, and that makes it not work at all. The fact that we can generate paychecks for myself, my family, and for our staff all around the country is super cool, and just lucky to fall into it. A couple breaks went a few ways, a couple mentors helped out, and we've done some good work. So here we are 27 years later, still doing it.
I think about what you just said, that you get to work, and I bet a lot of people in the professional sports industry and the sports tourism industry wake up every morning feeling the same way, because from what I have observed on my side is it's a lot of long hours. It is a lot of long days, and it is a lot of high energy. Being in a city where you've got two massive mega sports events happening back to back, what can you tell me about the leadership and the organization that it takes to pull off something this massive, getting to be able to do something like that?
Yeah, I can tell you that, even here in Phoenix area, Arizona in general, and some of the other destinations out there that have hosted a lot of these major events, especially when they have them in a row. Like, for instance, we hosted, we as a community, I'm not putting Huddle Up Group on top of that, but as a community, we hosted, not this run, but before, we hosted the Super Bowl, college football playoff, and the Final Four back to back to back, and in 3 consecutive years. And Minneapolis has gone through that. A couple other destinations have gone through that. And here, when we did it last time, there were 3 different organizing committees there's a different organizing committee for each event. and they were out in the community, fundamentally raising money against each other. And it was really difficult and for them, for the people that were leading those entities. Right. And so I think here in this community, I know we're getting much more aligned on how to do that in a more cohesive nature and building capacity to be able to not only not go up against each other but to share resources, share knowledge and experience from one event to the next. And so I think that's been helpful. We're getting better at it. I know those other markets like Minneapolis created a sports commission for this reason. Some of the other destinations have gone through it, I think are getting smarter. Let's work smarter, not harder. Right. And so, and people who see this will say, oh, that's all just the big markets. What does that mean to me? Well, the answer is really, it applies to everybody. So a lot of the destinations we work with Huddle Up Group on the consulting side are in that small and mid market, college town, 200,000 people and less. That's our bread and butter. And those markets had their major events too. Right. And they're not Super Bowls, but they may be a collegiate championship. They may be a national Olympic governing body championship. And to do many of those in 1 year is crazy for some of those, but to stack them up, 2 or 3 years in a row is somewhat crazy. But if we do that in an independent siloed manner, that's really not going to behoove the community in the best way either. It's not efficient, right? So oftentimes when we're consulting those destinations, we're like, hey, your Super Bowl is this event over here, and your Final Four is this other event, and your college football playoff is this other event. If we're going to host all of these, or go after all of these with the limited resources we have, how do we do that in the best, most efficient manner with the limited resources we have? And so even at the highest level in places like Phoenix, or at the smaller level, small market that has a different list of big events they want to go get that are big for them, we have to be efficient. So you can kind of steal from what these big markets are doing very publicly in aligning themselves better to host these major events, and use them on the smaller stuff in smaller markets too.
Jon, what are some of the things that destinations in these smaller markets should be thinking about when they are setting out one of these aspirational goals of hosting an event like that? What are some of the things that you will offer to your clients and kind of help them in partnership work through?
That's interesting. You almost always need not a local champion, but a group of them to put these things on, because a CVB, a sports commission, can go bid on a big old championship. But if you don't have the volunteer base and sometimes some local corporate funding or those types of things to support what you're going to do, a lot of times the CVBs and sports commissions, as we like to say, don't have the operational expertise. We like to say putting on the backpacks. Like if they don't have somebody who's been in the industry who can help operate and manage volunteers and do airport signage and referee hospitality and transportation, forget the hotel room block part. The CVBs can do that. But if you can't help that event owner, the rights holder, as we call them in our industry, if you can't help them outside the field of play, they've got 500 other destinations that can, right? And so they want to go somewhere where they feel like the community is behind them. They're the biggest deal in town. And oh, by the way, the community is going to help. The CVB Sports Commission and community are going to help me outside the field of play so I can manage my championship to the best of my ability. And again, it's become so hyper competitive over the years. Even before COVID, sports tourism has become so much more sophisticated over the years that those rights holders know that, yeah, I can take a bigger check from this community over here, but if I'm going to be on my own in operating everything and doing all those things I mentioned, I'd rather take less from these other folks who are going to put on their backpacks and get in there with me, right? And so I would say, if you're going to have that big aspirational goal, then you got to have kind of the supporting infrastructure on game day behind it.
What are some of the benefits after game day for these communities when they've had this huge influx of attention and excitement? What are some of the benefits that are residual once the crowds go home and things quiet down?
That's the cool thing about sports, at least in the sense, especially with the mega events, we call them like Super Bowl and the golf tournament, the major events I mentioned earlier. I mean, not to put anything against, the conventions that are out there and the big national associations and all that, but like if the national so-and-so association comes to meet in Phoenix and downtown in our awesome convention center, I don't think anybody in the media and the general public around the world really cares, right? The economic impact's great. The hotels are full. the tourism community here cares, but for all of next week with the golf and then leading into Super Bowl festivities and all the ESPN's going to be here all week, all the major networks, all the radio row in the convention center downtown. Phoenix is going to be the center of the sports universe for more than a week around the world in every nation that follows football and golf. Right. And so you can't get that with some association of meeting folks or whatever on that side. And so the long-term benefit is it promotes our destination as a place where people might want to visit, promotes us as a desirable place where they may want to move their companies, where they may want to move their families, and things like that. So I think sports brings a whole nother element to the table that very few other things do. Even the major award shows, I don't know that they do that at the level sports does.
Well, I think it doesn't matter at what level the sports event is happening, whether in your local neighborhood and the under 5 or under 6 soccer team, which I coach, or if it's at your college or your alma mater or in your hometown high school football, or a big sports team. If sports has this capacity to draw people together, and there's this element of being together is fun that I think people are hungrier for now than ever before. And I can't help but think about the capacity of coaches. And I guess it's because I had my big career of a under 6 soccer coach, but coaches have this capacity of inspiring greatness and drawing out the best in the people they lead, who are going to be out there doing something they love, bringing joy to other people and bringing them together. When you think back in your experience as an athlete, as a coach, as a fan, and now, do you have any wisdom from a coach who really inspires you with leadership, or who demonstrated something that made you want to do the next hard thing?
Yeah, don't put the under 6 soccer thing aside. I started coaching in my prior life, coaching a 5th and 6th grade YMCA team when I was in high school, because my best friend in high school's little brother's team at the YMCA, their coach quit like 3 days before the season started. And he said, we're coaching their team, and which led to coaching in junior college. And so don't put that aside. There may be a career path for you there.
I'm open.
I can tell you one, and this is not from one coach, it's pretty much from all of them that piece together. And I say this about in our industry all the time, and it applies to corporate community, it applies to your family, it applies to coaching, it applies to sports tourism, whatever, organizations. If you put the people and the industry that they serve first, everything else for you will take care of itself. And that, I believe that wholly with Huddle Up Group. I believe our success is based on, and our whole team is wired this way, in that I believe that we're all flawed. Everybody's flawed, but we thrive to put the people in our industry and our industry itself first before Huddle Up Group. And by doing that, Huddle Up Group will thrive, and has for 11 years and continues to get better. And I think that applies to anywhere. And yeah, that's from probably piecing together little pieces of DNA from all the coaches I had, because I had some really good ones. Had some bad ones too. Everybody has those too. But most of mine were good. I was very fortunate. And most of my mentors are wired that way too. Like, if we put our community first, if we put our people first, we put our staff first, we put our volunteers, members of our board first, everything else will take care of itself.
Jon, that's one of the things that unifies us, and that people first mentality. You, Huddle Up Group, you've been a great partner and a winner partners. And I think that is one of the things that brings us together, putting people first. And so I just want to thank you for this conversation. I learned a few things about the big game, and I'm excited to watch. I'll be looking for you in the stands.
No, I wish I had a ticket, but I'm a Cowboys fan and they're not playing. So I don't know that I don't have a dog in this hunt.
All right. Well, then I'll be on my couch as well. So,
all right.
But thanks for your time today. And I'm just really excited to see this all play out. So thanks so much. And from Winter Partners, the Huddle Up Group.
Thank you, Holly. We love Winter Partners. Thanks for your time.